All right, this next song is track 1 on the album. It's also the first single. It's called Like a Spark. Some nights we slide up together, side by side. And some days you wake in the moonlight, I'm not around. Everybody wants you tied up easily, except for me. I only ever wanted you to feel free to it. I only ever wanted you to feel free to it. I only ever wanted you to feel free to it. To feel free to it. Someday I trade in the past and feeling that something's always wrong. And some night I hang from the ceiling like a spark. Everybody wants you tied down easily, except for me. I only ever wanted you to feel free to it. I only ever wanted you to feel free to it. To feel free to it. Tied down easy, except for me. I only ever wanted you to feel free to it. I only ever wanted you to feel free to it. And now you're free to it. And now you're free to it.
Like a Spark on World Cafe. That's Rostam. It's the opening track from his new album, American Stories. I'm Raina Douris. Rostam, welcome back to the World Cafe.
So good to be back.
So great to have you here. The record is beautiful.
Thank you.
In that song, we hear guitars. We also hear an instrument that's all over this album, the saz. For folks listening who have maybe never seen one of those before, could you describe what the saz is?
Well, yeah, on this record, we used a couple different saz. One is an acoustic saz, which is like, you can imagine it kind of like a banjo that's way longer and has, doubled up strings. So you get that really sort of like that very sort of twangy, stringy sound. And then Amir, who played the saz, the acoustic and the electric saz on the record, he found this electric saz, which is like a much smaller version of the instrument. And he bought that when he was on tour with the Voids in Istanbul. And that sort of sounds like a Middle Eastern Stratocaster. It's like a electric guitar. It's got that really cool piercing tone, but it also has these quarter tones, so you can play frets that you couldn't play on a guitar. You could play pitches that you can't play on a guitar because they kind of exist between where the frets are put traditionally.
What is your earliest memory of hearing like a saz?
So there's a family of related instruments. So saz is from Turkey, but in Persian music, there's a tar and a sitar, and they're tuned identically, and they have the similar quarter tones. My earliest memory is just, I guess, probably 5, 6 years old, listening to Persian music with my family in our kitchen. And we listened to a lot of different kinds of music, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Bob Dylan, and a lot of Persian music, folk music, Persian folk music. So yeah, it was a pretty wide range of stuff.
How does it make you feel when you hear it?
I feel connected to it, like I feel like there's a beauty there that on this record, one of the things I wanted to try to do was take Middle Eastern music out of the context that it's so often put in. Like, you watch a movie and there's Middle Eastern music, but it's sort of ominous and sinister, and it's used as like an indicator for something bad is about to happen. But that's not my experience of Middle Eastern music. There's beauty and there's hope, there's optimism, there's major keys that work with Middle Eastern music, and there's Middle Eastern music that expresses a wide range of emotions. So yeah, I think my desire with this record was to kind of put those microtonal melodies and put the music that I grew up with as a kid in just a slightly different context, like
Right.
let people hear it with major chords around it.
Could you talk about fitting those sounds together and maybe how those early experiments you did with it, how it worked to where we are now on this record?
I think because I have a little bit of a math brain, I sort of could understand mapping like which chords in Western music would work with the microtonal melodies on top of them. So like, it's basically like if you think about the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 6 chord in Western music, in the key of C, that would be like C, F, A minor. They all have this common tone of C. And so because they all share that common tone, you can kind of imagine sort of that drone or pedal tone connecting all of those chords, and simultaneously that pedal tone is what connects the microtonal melodies in Persian music. So when you play those melodies, there is some kind of a pedal or drone underneath them, and usually it is that common tone. So that's kind of like, if I'm laying it all out on the table for you, that's like where my math brain goes with it. So on the song Back of a Truck, that one you're moving between the 1, 4, and the 6 chord, and I think part of the reason that it works is because all those chords share that common tonic tone.
Yeah. I love that idea of this sort of thing connecting it underneath.
Yeah.
And using the pedal steel for that. And I'm glad you brought up Back of a Truck because I wanted to play a clip of that song. How did you want this song to feel?
Oh, brother. Well, that's a great question. The way that song came about was so strange. It started with a piece of instrumental music that I made very quickly, and I didn't think it was for me. I just made it. I thought, like, someone will maybe sing on this one day, and it won't be me. I don't know. Sometimes I make music and I really imagine it for myself, and other times I make it and I imagine it for someone else. And that song started in a period where I made a bunch of ideas to work with somebody that I'd never worked with before. And I think we were both excited about working together, and nothing came of it. But that instrumental, I had it and I played it for a friend, and I was like, who should this be for? And a close friend of mine, someone who I really trust, he said, you should keep that for your next album. And so I listened to him. And the next thing in the stage of that song was that I put the pedal steel on it. And those pedal steel lines, I got so excited about it. I was like, okay, So now I have this thing. It's like a piece of instrumental music. It's got the drums. It's got the chords. It now has the pedal steel. It still doesn't have a song. But that's the kind of how I like to make my solo albums. I will get very deep in the production process before I write the song around it. And so at this point, I have this piece of music that I love, and I start singing on top of it and finding melodies, finding lyrics. I think the first verse was the first thing that came out of me. And then pretty soon I got to a place where I was like, okay, this is going to be a good song. I feel confident in it.
Let's hear it and we'll come back and talk some more. This is Back of a Truck. It's Rostam on World Cafe.
Sometimes I wake up feeling happy, honey, and sometimes I wake up sad as hell. But no one wakes me up the way you would when you would roll onto my side of the bed. I'm trying to hold on to what I remember. I'm trying to write down what I might forget. You never knew exactly who I was, but you can't change your mind about what you said. It was written on the back of a track, 6 words from a song you love. Don't think twice, no, it's alright. Sometimes the words mean what you like. Thought I'd find you a best friend, but you weren't who I thought you was. Love kiss to the gods above. Hit play on the console, turn it up.
Back of a Truck from Rostam's new album, American Stories, on World Cafe. Maybe you can tell us a bit about your background. Your parents were born in Iran.
That's right.
When did they come to the United States?
So both of my parents came to America for college. My mom went to the University of Southern Oklahoma. My dad went to Reed College in Oregon. And then they both sort of spent a lot of their 20s in America. They went back in their late 20s and they returned to Iran. They met in Iran. They got married. They thought that their life would be there, but there was a revolution in 1979. And they got out of the country after the revolution. They smuggled themselves out of the country. They moved to France. My brother was born in France. And then they really had a desire for their kids to feel like they had a home. And so that was why they moved to America. So they came to America in 1983. My brother was 3 years old. I was in my mother's womb. And I think what they wanted for us was they had experienced, so much instability in Iran. They'd seen things change so dramatically and so quickly that I think they wanted me and my brother to feel a sense of place and a sense of home. And so I was born in Washington, D.C., and grew up in Washington, D.C., and yeah, I'm the only one in my family who could run for president one day because you have to be born in America.
Yeah.
So that's something I've always thought about, and that was part of like what I was interested in with this record and calling it American Stories. And
How do you think that story of your own and growing up as, knowing that in your mind, hey, I'm the only one in my family who could run for president if I wanted to, stuff like that. How do you think that shaped your relationship with America or American culture?
I think I've always felt like a complicated feeling about it because there's always been things that I love about America. I mean, I love American music. I grew up with so much American music, and I think because I have this analytical brain that I can't really turn off, I'm like thinking about what makes American music American, and I studied classical music in college, and it kind of geared my brain to go even deeper in terms of analysis. And so,
what did you find?
Well, sure, that's a great question. Because I considered a career as a composer. That was something I definitely considered. And I think one of the things I love about making albums is that it's an art form where you really get to collaborate with people. And for example, when I brought in Daniel Aged, who played the pedal steel on my record, I think one of the things that I found was just how much power just a couple of notes on a pedal steel can lend to a song. You know, there's such a mournful quality to the pedal steel sometimes, and also they can be such a bright and joyful quality. And I think what the relationship. So what I found was that relationship to Middle Eastern music also kind of, there's a symmetry there where on the pedal steel you can be sort of gliding between two notes and slowly approaching a note from below. And that gives it that sort of deep emotional quality. Similarly, it's the microtonality that we talked about in Middle Eastern music, kind of just appearing in a different way. Instead of landing on the microtonal note, you're kind of slowly gliding through it and past it.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess the answer to your question is, what I found is that, you know, these musical traditions are closer together than we thought that they might be.
If you're just joining us, I'm speaking with Rostam on World Cafe. The album is called American Stories. And when there is this interweaving of Persian music, that title takes on some different dimensions. Could you talk about what that phrase means to you, American Stories?
Well, I think part of the allure for me was like sort of connecting to this idea of like, it's like a book of short stories that, you know, you could write a book of short stories and call it American Stories. No one would have questions about that. It would make sense. But yeah, I liked referencing another kind of form of art, like a collection of short stories. And then, yeah, I like the idea of sort of trying to expand the general notion of what is considered American. And I felt like around the time that I was finishing this album, Zohran Mamdani was also getting elected in New York. And I built out like a pretty elaborate post on Instagram about why I believed in Zohran as a candidate. And that post like reached 1 million people. And I was just like, the combination of all these things made me start to feel like we are in this very fascinating era where it seems as though, in spite of everything around us, there is an opportunity for there to be this expanding notion of what America is. And I think it's something that I really grew up with as, you know, being politically attuned because I was growing up in Washington, D.C., where you kind of can't tune that stuff out.
Yeah.
So it was something that I was like attuned to from a young age. And I think in the 1990s and in the early 2000s, I think, you know, we're interested in this idea of inclusiveness. And that extended into like Barack Obama kind of being maybe like the most, in some ways, like representing this, like the success of inclusiveness as a model and a concept. And maybe we've retreated from that. But I think what I felt about Zohran getting elected and what I felt about what he's been able to accomplish is like, we shouldn't lose hope that I think that there's a lot of positive change happening in spite of everything.
We're going to come back to that idea a little later on. But the next song we're going to hear has a story as well. You mentioned your dad.
Yes.
In the line, "My father carries the name of a prophet, but dad was no believer." The song is called "Road to Death." Could you tell us about that line and what maybe the story is in this one?
I'd say there's a few different stories.
Sure.
One of the stories was I was dating somebody and I said to him, my immune system feels like it isn't what it used to be. I feel like and this was like in the midst of COVID, and it was like after the third time that I had gotten COVID. So maybe that was part of it. But he said something really interesting to me. He was like, well, yeah, you know, your immune system is going to get worse and worse. And then eventually that's why you die. And I never thought about death as the consequence of a deteriorating immune system. And it kind of like stuck with me. And so years later, it manifested in this song. And then another person years later, another person that I was getting to know said to me, I believe in God and I believe in Jesus. And it really it struck me because I had to ask myself, well, do I believe in Jesus? I grew up with like really loving Christmas music and really feeling, and to this day, I think Christmas music is some of my favorite music. But I never really asked myself if I believed in Jesus. So that was another thing that's swirling in this mix. And then my own dad, I remember being 6 or 7 and asking my dad, Dad, do you believe in God? Mm. And he said, I don't know. I'm somewhere between atheist and agnostic, and to hear that as a 6 or 7-year-old, maybe I was 8 years old. I don't know. However old I was, it was interesting. He didn't avoid the question. He didn't sugarcoat it. And so these were all the things that were kind of swirling in my mind, and they all ended up in the song, The Road to Death.
Let's hear it. This is Road to Death, Rostam, live for World Cafe.
The road to death is one we're all on. I need a friend to come with me tomorrow. 'Cause some of us are dying slowly, and some of us are dying faster. All of us are at the doctor's office, and some are maybe staying after. The road to death could be happy and long, and on our way we could be lucky and strong. 'Cause some of us are dying slowly, and some of us are dying faster. All the Christmas trees in the Christmas market, I hope will not outlast you. And Jesus Christ is a beautiful idea. Does it matter if he was real? My father carries the name of a prophet, but Dad was no believer. Death is one we're all on. You need to know that you're not alone.
Rostam performing Road to Death from his new album, American Stories. I'm Raina Douris. Rostam is my guest on the show today on World Cafe. We've been talking a lot about blending different cultural sounds, different regional sounds. That is something that you've been doing since you started out producing Vampire Weekend albums. I mean, just to give folks an example, a song like Cape Cod Kwasa Kwasa off the debut album literally names a style of Congolese dance and is also musically influenced by it. Why do you think that is something you've always, in a way, been drawn to? Did you realize you were drawn to it at that point?
I grew up listening to so many kinds of music, so I think it's the combination of just growing up with this wide range of music from around the world, music from Africa, music from Iran, Afghanistan, having all these different kinds of musics in my life, and then going to college, studying music, and being sort of armed with the tools to take the things that I was hearing and being able to translate them. Because I think being a producer is often about translating something. You know, like if you work with an artist will be like, I like this because, and maybe they're referencing another song, or maybe they're referencing a feeling, or maybe they're referencing a mood. And it's your job, I think, as a producer to translate whatever that is into what's coming out of the speakers.
Right.
So I think, I think it makes sense, like just kind of the way that my brain works, that that I would be attuned and interested in that.
You're going to play a Vampire Weekend song for us today.
Yeah.
It's the last song on the last album you were a member of the band for, 2013's Modern Vampires of the City. It's called Young Lion. Could you tell us the initial inspiration behind this song? Because I think it started with Ezra from Vampire Weekend at an ATM. Is that right?
Yeah. So we were finishing our second album, Contra, and that album we made that album quite quickly, you know, in a span of months. And we had put a lot of pressure on ourselves. The debut album came out in 2008, and we thought it would be really cool to put out an album in 2009 as a follow-up. So we were hustling to finish the record, and Ezra was at an ATM on his way to the studio to meet me, and I think he was a little agitated, and somebody who was actually a Rasta, a dreadlocked Rasta, saw him and approached him and said to him, "You take your time, young lion." And so when Ezra got to the studio, this was in 2009, and he was telling me about what had happened, that story stuck in my mind. And a few weeks later, maybe days later, I started writing a song on the piano. And that song predates finishing Contra, but it ended up on Modern Vampires.
How are you reinterpreting this for us today?
Today, we have pedal steel, we have cello, and we have me on guitar. And so each of us is taking a turn with this melody that I wrote. And that melody, it also kind of has elements of Persian music in it. So there's a version that we recorded at Sound City and that we play live with Amir, where we take those Persian elements and push them a little further. Because we have pedal steel and cello today, you're getting more of the American version and also the classical music version.
Let's hear it. This is Live for World Cafe, Rostam with Young Lion.
Thank you very much.
Recorded live for World Cafe, Young Lion. That's Rostam with his own version of a song he initially recorded with Vampire Weekend for their 2013 album, Modern Vampires of the City. Rostam has a new album called American Stories. He's my guest on World Cafe. I'm Raina Douris. Earlier, you were talking about how a producer, their job is to translate things, because producer can be such a nebulous idea.
Totally.
What a producer is.
Totally.
What kind of producer are you? How would you describe your way of doing it?
What I like to do is to be the person that my collaborator wants me to be in the moments that they want me to be that person. So sometimes people want to write a song from scratch. Sometimes people want me to start with a piece of music and they want to take it and write all of the lyrics, and I love that. And other times people want me to help with the lyric writing process, and I love doing that too. I want to make the artist or co-producer, whoever I work with, I want them to feel comfortable, and then if they do feel comfortable, I think we'll get sort of the best out of one another. And then I want to just fill the spaces that they want me to fill. I don't want to, I don't want to go in with any preconceived notion of how we'll work together.
Yeah.
Just kind of have faith in the process.
On World Cafe, my guest today is Rostam. He has a new album called American Stories. There's a track on American Stories that features Clairo. You produced her 2019 debut album, Immunity. She was really young at that point. What do you remember from working with her on that album?
I remember I always absolutely loved her songwriting voice and her singing voice from the first time I ever heard her music. And the song that I really loved was Flaming Hot Cheetos, which was, something it seemed like she made pretty quickly and made totally on her own, on her laptop.
Sometimes I feel like I just wanna go back to my old ways. You're telling me I'm silly, it's no fun. In the old days, I'm such a romantic. I never remember how things really happen. I guess you're attractive or something.
What Immunity is sort of like this kind of combination of these songs that she and I started together in the studio, and then also these songs that she really started on her own. She recorded a lot of on her own and produced a lot of on her own. And so there's like about half this record that we started together and we finished together. And then there's another half of it that she started on her own and we finished together. And we made the whole thing sound like an album together. So I think she's this incredible, multi-talented, she's really an album artist. And I feel like there's very few of those album artists in her age bracket or generation. And I think she really represents she represents just, I think, something that gives me a lot of hope for the future, because I think she's an amazing artist in every sense of the word. And she's also an amazing producer too. So she's just a great collaborator. And I think we really trusted one another. I remember when she played me Bags and she'd recorded all the vocals. She had the basic guitar tracks. She had a drum part. And she really felt confident that she was like, this is the first single.
Can you see me? I'm waiting for the right time. I can't reach you, but if you want the pleasure's all mine. Can you see me using everything to hold back? I guess this could be worse, walking out the door with your bags. Walking out the door with your bags. Walking out the door with your bags.
I remember hearing what she was hearing and looking at her and seeing what it made her feel and being like, I don't need to change this very much, but we need to figure out what are the things that make me feel the way she's feeling about this right now. And it wasn't a lot of stuff. It was like a guitar melody here or there. It was like like a choir pad that comes in on the chorus. It was changing maybe one note in the bass of the chorus of the song. It was these small little moves, but retaining the things that she loved about that version and finding this place where both of us really love the finished product.
Yeah. Clairo is on the song Hardy on
Yes.
American Stories. Why was she the right person for this? And what was it like getting back together to work together again?
It was so fun to work with her again, and in a different capacity, right? Because like I said before, I was really like entering her world, helping her realize her vision for her debut album. And in this case, I had this vocal part, and it wasn't right for my voice. It was either too high or too low, and I was just curious, like what it would sound like if she sang it. And so I played it for her, and she was into it just from the first time that I played it. This was at my studio in LA, and then we made a plan to get together in Brooklyn. And I think what's amazing about Claire's voice, and I think this about there's a few people that really have this quality for me, is like they sing one note, and it just feels like there's so many layers. There's so much emotion and texture in just a handful of notes, and the way they phrase things has just kind of like just a joyful quality, or emotional quality, or a casual quality. And I think Claire's voice has always taken me somewhere, so it was fun for us to work together again.
Here's Hardy featuring Clairo. It's Rostam on World Cafe.
If you catch a glimpse of the wicked world in a moment when kindness starts to fold up, don't forget that you have an inner light, and my inner light goes to yours tonight.
Some things you said to me have stuck in my mind, and though I never had the chance to say why. Maybe the greatest art is never completed. We only have to leave it knowing we tried. But there's a part of me that's waiting, and there's a part of me that ain't looking back. A part of me believes in fate, and a part of me thinks that you can't plan.
A bit of the album cut of Hardy featuring Clairo from Rostam's new album, American Stories. What can you tell us about Come Apart?
The words came out of me, they were almost kind of like a visceral response. And I think what I'm interested in coming apart is some of these hierarchical systems, some of these supremacist ideologies that, like I was saying before, like if we zoom out, like what are the systemic problems. And I think a lot of times it comes down to different versions of supremacy, supremacist ideology, like whether that's straight supremacy, mononormativity, which is like this idea that like like monogamy should be held higher than all else, like male supremacy over women. Like I feel like all of these things are kind of interconnected, and yeah, I think that's what I'm interested in kind of coming apart. And I think maybe the unspoken part of that song that's not addressed in the lyrics is that we can rebuild something that we do feel good about and does take care of everyone. I don't think it's impossible to take care of everyone.
We're going to hear you perform it. This is Rostam, Come Apart, live for World Cafe.
All right, here's what I'm going to ask. What's the best way to describe you? It's a little bit similar to We Will Rock You, but maybe just a little bit slower than that. So I'll show you. It's a combination of stomping and clapping. Yes. Don't speed up too much though. In the pocket, yes. Beautiful. Keep that going.
I know that the world will come apart. I know that the world will come apart. I hope that the pain is gonna stop. I hope that the pain is gonna stop. Where you lie to your kids, say it's not what it is, but the kids are too smart to see something for what it's not. I know that the world will come apart. I know that the world will come apart. I hope that the pain is gonna stop. I hope that the pain is gonna stop. When they burned olive trees, they set fire to the leaves, but the roots are too strong to let go of where they're from. And one day the pain is gonna stop. One day the pain is gonna stop. I know that the world will come apart. I know that the world will come apart.
Thank you so much. Y'all are so good.
Rostam performing Come Apart live for World Cafe. It's a song from his new album, American Stories, which is out now. Rostam has been my guest today. Thank you so much for this conversation and this performance. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
I'm Raina Douris, back in a moment with more World Cafe.